So this week on my channel, I wanted to do a little spotlight on some affordable makeup. So my last video, we talked about my favorite, the best of the best affordable cream eyeshadows. And in today's video, I have my little shopping bag of all of my affordable favorites from iHerb. iHerb is very kindly sponsoring this video. iHerb does usually give me a code. Usually you'll be able to get a discount no matter what, so I'll leave it right here. So I'm sharing with you guys kind of like my staple products, the products that I go back to over and over again as far as my affordable finds. We have some K-Beauty, some K-Beauty skincare. They are having a 29% site-wide sale for their anniversary. And I first want to talk about milky toners because I've been talking a lot about milky toners. One reason I really like buying my K-Beauty products from iHerb is one, the shipping is super, super fast. But I also know that they are authentic products. So they are completely 100% authentic items. So if you are on these other retailers and just kind of hoping that they're authentic, you can trust iHerb. And believe me, I have gone on to certain sites, just like repurchase my staples. I get it in the mail and I'm like, I am not putting that on my face. So you don't have to worry about that with iHerb. These are my two main recommendations for milky toners that I also will be talking about in some upcoming videos. And I wanted to pick out one for more for dry skin types and then one for more combo to oily skin. Now, I have dry skin. I love both of these. So let's first start off with the I'm From Rice Toner. This was one of those products that it took me a while to really understand why so many people absolutely love it. So it is a rice water-based toner. Though it looks pretty milky, it's actually very thin and super watery. So you can see on here, I guess I'll put some on my chest now that I've already put it out. It is much more lightweight than a lot of milky toners out right now. A lot of them are a little bit bouncier and heavier. This one I personally think is going to be really amazing for those of you that feel like your skin is very stressed out. Rice extract, rice water is really good for calming down the skin. And I have personally found that if I don't want a lot of extra layers, but I want a toner to just help absorption of my other products, something to kind of just take everything back to a really calm place, I will reach for this one. And I've personally found this is one of those products that when you're consistent with it, you really start to see the resilience in your skin. It's one of those products that I incorporated into my skincare routine and I was like, is this really doing anything? And then with that steady use, I started to realize it was really calming my skin and I was having like less flare-ups. This is a top recommendation and you guys will see this in my upcoming Milky Toner video as, listed as a favorite. Again, especially for those of you with more combo to oily skin because it's just so thin while also really packing the moisture. So it's a really well-balanced product. Now, if you do have more normal to dry skin, that's when I would go ahead and recommend the Tier Milk Skin Toner. Now, I have been using the Tier Milk Skin Toner for almost a year now, and I really enjoy it for more normal to dry skin. If you have found that like chamomile has really done wonders for very tired dry skin, like very classic ingredients like niacinamide, rice bran extract, and licorice root as well. I haven't necessarily seen a ton of brightening with this. It just does a really lovely job of keeping my skin hydrated, moisturized, and I love that it feels a little bit richer while still being quite thin. Really packs the moisture punch. Sometimes I feel like if I have 2 layers of this, I really don't even need to wear a moisturizer. I'll just use my sunscreen and then I'll be done. So I personally feel like Tier, as far as their skincare goes, I've also had really good luck with the ceramic milk ampule. That's for like, your skin is really feeling dry and you need like a hard reset. That's when I would recommend the ampule. If you just want that daily ritual, something with rice bran as well, just to keep your skin in check, and you do lean maybe more normal to dry to mature, I would probably recommend this first rather than this one, but you know, I really have enjoyed both. Tier isn't the cheapest, but I'm pretty sure with like 29% off, it gets you under that like $20 mark, which is obviously preferred. Now, I have some other skincare favorites, but I wanted to talk about some more beauty favorites first. Now, I have loved the Clio eyeshadows. You guys know how I feel about K-beauty, but there are some K-beauty eyeshadows that in my opinion they're just not pigmented enough, and it just kind of feels like I'm not getting the impact that I want. I have always loved Clio eyeshadows. In fact, I'm pretty sure that iHerb also has the Latte Senior palette, which is like my favorite Clio all matte palette, but it is a little bit more pricey. I think it's around like $25 with the discount. But this little guy, this is a really good way to just try out Clio eyeshadows and get a feel. This is the Pro Eye Palette Mini in Mono Mood. So this is like a perfect little travel palette, but I've really been enjoying it because it literally just has everything I would need. So I use this kind of base shade to set any of my lid space just to kind of lock everything in, and then I'll use this kind of very soft brown into the crease. They also have this sequin shade, which whenever I use it, I just use it as a one and done. I didn't use it today just because I felt like I didn't necessarily need to, and I really wanted you guys to see the star of the show, which is their like pressed glitter in here. It's one of those really cool K-beauty sparkly scattered glitters. And it definitely has some creaminess in the formula to help it like stick to the eyes because that is a pressed glitter. But if you want something more soft, like a very soft wash of wet glitter, then you could absolutely just use this shade over here. This is probably better for like every day, but I really wanted to amp up the sparkle. And then I always use this deep brown over here to do my winged liner. Kind of just has everything in one little palette. So really, really nice just to kind of throw in your makeup bag if you're traveling. Highly recommend this one to kind of get a feel for Clio as a whole because I personally really enjoy their formula. I feel like it has more impact. It almost looks a little creamy on the eyes, very, very finely milled. So really, really enjoy that one. I'm gonna kind of jump around a little bit just because I like doing that to keep you guys on your toes, but I have talked about this product probably too many times to count. It also was in Best of Beauty 2024, but the Palladio lip stain markers. You know, lip stain markers have really exploded, but this was probably one of the first that I ever tried, and it has consistently been a repurchase. So I like the shade Nude, I believe. This is the shade Nude? Yes, but they have multiple shades. This is my favorite lip liner product, lip liner marker, because it doesn't give you way too much impact right away. So sometimes I personally like a softer lip lined effect. I don't want it to be super intense. I want it to kind of melt in with the rest of my lip look, and this gives me just the right amount of stainy ink, and I'm able to really cheat my lip line because the lip stain is kind of untraceable once it's on the skin, but it's also really easy to work with. So I have loved this for a long time. It will dry out after a couple of months, but it's also like dirt cheap. So I've repurchased multiple times. I did line my lips with it today. And also I like this shade personally because I feel like it's so neutral with my pale lips that I can kind of just like scribble it on. And it doesn't feel like too much of a full-on lip either. Sometimes I don't want my lip to be like too much if I'm just like putting on a little skin tint and running out the door. So this just has a really nice balance. I cannot recommend it enough. That's kind of like my little hidden gem that whenever my friends ask about lip stains, I always recommend that one. I have another one in the middle of my lip. Maybe let's just go ahead and talk about that now. So I love the Acute fixing tints. I feel like, you know, for someone that has tried so much K-beauty, I was absolutely late to the party when it comes to the Acute house. So this is Baked Pecan. And they're something between, in my opinion, a lip stain and a liquid lip. It's much thinner than a lot of the like Western beauty liquid lips that we, have gotten used to over here. Much thinner, and the texture just looks better on the lips. It doesn't exaggerate any texture, doesn't like crackle in the lips. So if you're one of those people that you want to just like put on your lip and kind of forget about it, I highly recommend checking out this formula because to me it's just a very innovative take on a liquid lip that has that more staining power. Still feels like nothing on the lips. There's actually not really much transfer at all with either of these products. I mean, I don't actually get any transfer with the Palladio, like zero. I can actually see this being really great for bridal makeup. So any brides that are watching looking for some lips to try out, this is a really, really, really good one. And I'm always surprised that there are brands coming out with like the most awful liquid lipsticks for like $30, and then this one's just kind of sitting here. I actually have some other lip products I want to talk about later, but I want to go ahead and talk about Complexion. So you guys, I mean, if you've watched my channel, then you know about my love for the Missha Perfect Cover BB cream. I wear the shade 13 in the winter, and then in the summer I'll wear the shade 21. Any other time of the year, I kind of mix the two. But I have used this for, I want to say 8 years, like literally since the beginning of my channel. And I've recommended it to countless people. In fact, when I would bartend, I would wear this all night. It never broke up, never looked weird. If I had dry pimples, it would cover them without looking dry. That's why it's been a staple. And in fact, my skin was kind of going crazy last week. This was the only thing that I wanted to put on other than the Missha Perfect Cover Serum BB Cream. Now, I put this on today because I wanted to give you guys a look at how this looked without any powder. This is essentially a more satin version of the OG Missha Perfect Cover BB Cream. So if people have been asking me about this, wanting me to try it. If you like this one, I have a feeling that you will also like the serum, but it just has less dewiness. So if if you're a dry skin person, I would still think that this is probably your best bet. But if you want something more lightweight, kind of like doesn't really feel like much on the skin, then I would go with the serum. I used quite a lot last week and it still looked really good, but I feel like today, because I only used it really like sparingly, I got a very flawless look, relatively so, like a good medium coverage, but it really does not look like I'm wearing any makeup. Like there is no visible thick foundation on. So these from Missha, I can like my stamp of approval is on both of them now. I was really scared to try this one out, honestly, because I just love the OG so much, but no, I actually like both. Speaking of my skin freaking out, when my skin starts to freak out, I will really narrow down all of the products that I'm using, and I will only use certain products that I know are not going to irritate my skin. So I wanted to talk about some of those staples. They are all very affordable. So during the day, if I want something slightly thinner, more of like a water cream texture, the Beauty of Joseon Dynasty Cream, I love this moisturizer so much. So essentially, again, if you're a fan of rice in your skincare, I would not be surprised if you were also into this. It immediately melts onto my skin, just offers that it's so refreshing. It's not like menthol or anything like that. My skin is so calmed afterwards. It is not heavy the way that some of the other products I'm going to talk about are heavy, but they're heavy because they're like very occlusive. This is more of a like drink of water kind of moisturizer, and yet my skin is just so thankful every time I put it on. I really wasn't expecting much from this. I kind of tried it on a whim. And then once I started using it, I couldn't stop. And now we're on my second jar, and like we've already made a good dent in this jar. If you are into water creams and water gels, I just have a feeling that you will really, really enjoy this. But at nighttime, I will either use my Cetaphil moisturizing lotion or I will use my Cetaphil moisturizing cream. So I'm such a Cetaphil person. You can get Cetaphil on iHerb, obviously. This jar is like, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's like down to here. And I've already gone through another tub of this. The reason I always go back and recommend Cetaphil as like a night cream, for oily skin, the moisturizing lotion, and then for dry skin, the moisturizing cream is typically my recommendation, is they're essentially like skin protectants. So when you go in with your actives at night, let's say you're on a retinol, let's say you want to use your milky toner first, then go in with your retinol and then seal everything in with this, they're not going to evaporate overnight. They really protect the skin. And for me personally, especially when we start getting into the fall and winter, you need at night to really be conscious that your skin is repairing during that time. So consistently, even if like my skin routine is just cleansing my skin and putting on one of these, my skin is stable. Very, very safe for sensitive skin. Again, if my skin is freaking out, I will probably use one of the cleansers I'm about to talk about, one of these, and then I'm done. I really feel like people don't talk enough about Cetaphil, ironically enough. But before we talk about cleanser, I keep staring at it, so I want to talk about it. I have an upcoming lip balm video, like tinted lip balm video coming up, so make sure you're subscribed for that. But Baby Lips is back. You can get Baby Lips at iHerb, and I picked up the cherry shade. What I did today is I put on the Palladio, I did my lip stain, and then I've just been taking this and applying it to like the middle of my lips. One, it tastes like a popsicle, so love that. But I love that it's just that sheer, so uber sheer wash of red color. I can wear this like just around the house with no makeup, and I feel like my lips just have that very soft color. It goes from like no lips to now I have lips. And also, I've got chronically dry lips, guys. Sometimes lip balms that are this thin, I don't like. But this doesn't feel like, this doesn't feel really drying and astringent. You know, maybe when a lot of us were wearing this in high school, maybe we were onto something. I actually think that we were. And this color is perfection. They also have a pink shade that I'm kind of interested in now, but I almost feel like you can't really get better than the cherry one, so I'm just gonna stick to the cherry. Really happy that I'm gonna have this on my upcoming trip because I feel like this is just like really easy everyday lip. So Fui is actually at iHerb as well. So I have to give a shout out to my Fui pudding pots because these are like my favorite K-beauty blush. So ambitious for red blush because you guys know how I feel about red blush. And also this is a perfect red lip for me, but my most used shade, the shade that's on my cheeks today, kind of, it just goes with everything. That's, I think, why I use it so much. It's the shade My. So I literally just dunk a brush in here. Actually, I used a smaller brush because I wanted to be less messy, and then I ended up going with like a fluffier big brush anyway. But it just immediately blurs out over the skin. I love that kind of soft blurred effect on the cheeks, but I feel like some brands do it and then the blush looks like thick and weird on the cheeks. This just melts right in. I also love just in a pinch, just taking it on my lips too. It's beautiful on the lips. I think most people use these on the lips, but my favorite way is to use them on the cheeks. If you are a matte cream blush lover, I think like I highly, highly recommend checking these out, but even for those of you that love a matte lip, but you feel like a lot of matte lips are quite drying on you, these also are very plushy. They don't dry out the lips and look crackly. So I feel like I haven't necessarily mentioned these too many times on my channel, but I'm not saying this is a Botox replacement at all, but this will give you a similar effect in that when you use these little frownies patches, they're essentially like almost, it's weird. They have like this kind of adhesive right here. You get them wet and then you stick them onto different areas of your face. I have only ever used it on my forehead. That's where I really only where I have fine lines. And it's because I move my forehead a lot. That's like where I have the most motion going on my face. When you're sleeping, if you're someone that kind of like does this, I've literally like, sorry to do this to you, mom. Like my mom will be sleeping and she's just like this. I'm like, I feel like that's exactly how I probably sleep. That it stops that motion from happening. So for hopefully 8 hours a night, you are not moving those certain areas. And I think it really has an impact. I always wake up and my forehead is really, really smooth. So this isn't an every night thing, but when I remember to do it, I will put these on. They're for the forehead and like between the eyes. They also have some different shapes for different areas. So I would definitely recommend checking out some of the pictures that iHerb has that kind of explain like where you can put them. But yeah, I love frownies. And I feel like the people that know about frownies and love them, like they swear by them. I have had really, really good luck with these. They're usually around, I want to say $20 for the 144 patches, but obviously you can get like 29% off right now. But again, I'll leave more details down below. By the way, you don't want to use this in any areas with a lot of hair because it'll like pull on hair. So don't use this like over an eyebrow or anything like that. I have to give it another shout out. I feel like whenever I talk about like really lovely eyeshadows that are more affordable, I always have to mention the Kaja Beauty Bentos. And for me, specifically, I love Chocolate Dahlia, but Orange Blossom, I feel like is a hidden gem for sparkle lovers. So you have 3 different sparkly shades in here. The top are 2 more warm toned, but my favorite, I would literally repurchase this just for this one shade, is the bottom, and it is a perfect one and done. This to me looks like luxury. It has the most beautiful wet pearls, incredibly smooth. And you don't need anything other than this all over the eyes to get a really lovely, glossy, like chocolatey eyeshadow look. It's for people that really like a fine glitter, but you like glitter because the glitters within this bento in specific are very fine. So they're not like bigger pieces the way that this one from Clio is. The Clio palette has more of those like chunkier glitters that you kind of like press in almost like a glitter pigment. These are much finer. So it kind of just depends on what you're looking for. For me, it's like day to day, I want something different. But yeah, I always go back and recommend these to you guys. I feel like the secret is kind of out about Panoxyl. And personally for me, I'm happy about it. Panoxyl is kind of like my little hidden gem weapon, whatever you want to call it, for any body acne, which I am prone to. And if you don't like to use certain antiperspirants with aluminum, oftentimes I will just use this as a mask on my armpits when I'm taking a shower. Then I'll rinse it off after like 30 seconds to a minute, really. And this keeps you from smelling. Yeah, you can use it everywhere. I have used it on my feet. The benzoyl peroxide in here is very good for, again, like body acne. I had like some really stubborn breakouts and this was the literal only thing that helped. So this is potent. I would use, this is the 10%, use the 10% on the body. Honestly, the 5% I probably still wouldn't use on the face. To me, this is more so like for body skin, not necessarily the face. iHerb is very known for their supplements. So if you are picking out any like beauty skincare items, you can also find like all of your favorite supplements at iHerb. I have been trying out the Collagen Up, the hydrolyzed marine collagen peptides from California Gold Nutrition. Now, you can get just like the bag of the collagen powder, which is probably more price effective, but I like having these little travel sizes so that I can throw it into my bag when I'm traveling, which I'm coming up on travel. So this just made more sense to me. It's bioavailable. iHerb has really high standards when it comes to their supplements. So I'll keep you guys posted. I'm really hoping that I just see, again, an overall like resilience in my skin. That's what I most often hear using the Collagen Up doing for your skin, like really just resilience in the skin, hair, and nails. I had to give a quick shout out to my Roman Pomelo skin. You guys already know how much I love this. I used this on my sister on her wedding day. So if you want a creamier lip stain, so the one that I mentioned from Etude House, it's a little bit more matte, but if you want kind of like a jelly, creamy lip stain that's not gonna dry out your lips, but locks in like a very, very beautiful neutral shade, I always go back and recommend Pomelo Skin. I've gone through multiples of this. It's one of the best lip products I've ever tried, and iHerb has it. So I just talk about it so much and I don't even want to like stick here for too long, but just know it's still like a go-to. And in fact, I might wear it, on my wedding day one day. We'll see. And again, speaking of like bridal makeup, I used this on my friend Katie when I did her bridal makeup. This is from Unleashia. It is their Shaper Defining Eyebrow Pencil. This is uber tiny. Like, there are a lot of brands that are like, we have the tiniest brow product. No, like this is insanely tiny and it's not super, super packed with pigment, which for me gives you more control and in my opinion will give you a more natural look. I find that this shade Craft Brown is cooler, so it doesn't look really, really warm and stark in the brows. I know that, again, I know that this isn't like the sexiest product out there, but I have a feeling that like for those of you that really like a very defined brow, but you find that no matter what, the brow like strokes are just looking too big, I would really highly recommend checking this one out. Told you guys I was going to talk about my face washes. The Cetaphil Gentle Exfoliating Cleanser, this will be in Best of Beauty for 2025. So it has salicylic acid, mandelic, and PHAs. As far as exfoliating cleansers go, this is it's one of the best. It takes off all of my makeup and it keeps my skin in check. If you have dry skin, there's a good chance that your skin just needs help with cell turnover. This, I think, even if you used it once a day, it really helps clear out the pores, slosh away the dead skin. This is like the second one I've gone through, and I have noticed significant help in the actual texture and look of my skin, especially with blackheads, because I am prone to blackheads. This is just freaking fantastic. I also like the Gentle Skin Cleanser, but now that I use the exfoliating one so often, it's not one that I reach for as much, but for very sensitive skin, I think you're probably better off going with the Gentle Skin. This is very like moisturizing, milky. It's not gonna like mess with your skin barrier at all. So like eczema prone, probably a better idea to go with the Gentle Skin Cleanser, or even using this as a hand wash in during the winter. But if I want a gel cleanser, but I don't want a lot of actives, I'll just go back to my Horror Wonder. You guys know how much I love this brand. The Soft Cleansing Gel in specific, it's like kind of like a jelly. It's a little bit thinner than you would expect, but again, gets the skin super clean, takes off all the makeup very quickly without stripping the skin. So it just kind of like, it checks all of the boxes. It's affordable, and again, I always go back to it. And last but certainly not least, I wanted to talk about two products for acne in specific. The Cosrx Snail Mucin and the Mighty Patches. This combo is what I will use to really keep post-acne marks at bay. One, when I'm not popping and I have a good hydrocollotic patch on, I'm always, things are going to go better. I like the Mighty Patches specifically. I've tried out a lot of them, guys, because they actually hold a lot. Now, if you have cystic breakouts like I get, you need one that holds more, because some of these dinky little patches, like, they don't hold anything. For me personally, if I'm rolling around in bed at night and I have one of those on, it's not going to come off. It's going to actually hold everything. So that's why I always go back to those. And then the Cosrx Snail Mucin, it's one of those products, like, if you know, you know, it really is deeply hydrating and brightening with that kind of really incredible jelly texture, which I just never get tired of. I mean, my skin loves this stuff. For travel, I always like to go back to this essence. And in fact, I'm really, really hoping that Cosrx has their Snail Mucin masks at iHerb. Oh my gosh, if they do, just know that that is a top rec. I will leave a link down below to them for travel or just for like skin reset, brightening for post-acne marks. So Snail Mucin's incredible because it's so deeply hydrating, but it also helps to brighten the skin and can really do a good job of keeping the skin kind of like repairing itself, is the experience I've had. So, 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 so good. I've used this again for probably 8 years. And those were all of my iHerb recommendations. Again, huge thank you to iHerb for sponsoring the video. These are like top affordable favorites. Absolutely incredible. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you have questions, please let me know. I'll be in the comments to help, and I will see you guys in my next one.